I'm a 32-year-old female, but this story happened when I was 13 years old. One night, I was at my friend Kate's house. Her house was in a not-so-safe neighborhood, not far from our middle school. Kate's mom was a single parent, and she was working late, so it was just the two of us. But her mom had filled the house with lots of junk food, and she let us watch as many movies as we wanted on demand. Since it was still daytime, we decided to take a walk down to the pond in the park, which was only a couple of blocks away from her house. On our way back, when we were only 1 or 2 houses away, a car came up behind us. I didn't know who this person was, but my friend did. She said it was her neighbor, Andy, who lived right next door. Andy, as far as I can remember, looked much older, maybe in his early 50s. He had a sort of grayish beard and always wore a baseball cap, I don't know why. He drove his car slowly toward us and asked what we were planning to do that evening. Kate told him we were having a sleepover with a friend, and we might prank call some kids from our school and stay up late watching scary movies. Andy just laughed and smiled at both of us. But even though I was just a 13-year-old girl, I didn't feel good about the way he smiled at us. I didn't know this stranger, and I was surprised that my friend shared so much with him. But maybe she knew him better. Andy spoke in a quiet voice and said, "Hey, Kate, I noticed your mom's car isn't in the driveway, so I guess she's working late again, right?" Kate, being her usual friendly self and not realizing anything was off, replied, "Yep, she's doing the late shift, so it's just us in the house tonight." Andy gave that same weird smile and said, "All right, you girls have fun with your sleepover and try not to get into too much trouble tonight." Then he slowly drove past us and parked his car in his own driveway. When we walked up the driveway to Kate's house, we noticed that Andy was still looking at us as he went into his own home. Once we got inside, I asked Kate about her neighbor because he made me feel uneasy. Kate agreed that he was a bit creepy, but she didn't think he was a danger. Kate was the type who trusted people easily and was carefree, while I was more cautious and kind of a goody-goody. So, we made a pizza, gathered snacks, watched some movies, and chatted with our friends on AM later. It was close to midnight, maybe even 1 a.m., but Kate's mom still wasn't back home. We were starting to drift off to sleep in our sleeping bags in the living room. The TV was on, playing a scary movie in the background. All of a sudden, Kate muted the TV and spoke quietly. She said, "I think I saw the motion detection light in her backyard go on and off." She then carefully got up to check out the window that looked over their backyard. I walked over quietly and asked if she saw anything. She didn't see anything at first, but after a while, we saw the light come on again. We did our best to see outside, but it was tough. Kate decided to go down to their basement to see if she could get a better look through one of the windows down there. We walked down to the basement stairs, being careful not to trip in the darkness. We didn't want to turn on the lights, just in case someone or something outside could see us. It was strange to see Kate taking things so seriously because she was usually the more relaxed friend. Maybe all those scary movies were making us both extra jumpy. In the basement, there was a big window next to a door on the far side. The motion detection light turned on again, and some light came through the window, letting us see a bit in the small basement. Suddenly, we heard the door that led to the backyard and the basement start to shake. We both got a big fright and let out screams. The window on the door had blinds covering it, so we couldn't see who was trying to open the door. But we knew someone was trying to get inside. Thankfully, the door was locked with a deadbolt, but still, we were very scared. Kate spotted a baseball bat on the sofa and slowly moved closer to the door. I whispered to her that we should leave and maybe call her mom or the police. But Kate carefully lifted a corner of the blinds on the door's window. The person on the other side was still trying to open the door. Kate pulled up the blinds, and guess who we saw? It was her neighbor, Andy. We both screamed when we saw him. Andy raised his hands and said, "Whoa, it's okay, girls. I didn't mean to scare you. I just wanted to make sure you're safe. It's really late, and I thought I saw someone in your yard." Kate and I exchanged worried glances, then looked at Andy. There was something creepy and scary in his eyes, so we both felt he was lying. We knew he was the one trying to break into Kate's house. Kate told him to leave, or she called the police. Andy just stared at us and said he wanted to make sure we were safe since he knew we were home alone. He reached for the doorknob again and wanted us to unlock the deadbolt. I grabbed Kate's arm and told her to dial 911 right away. I yelled that we were calling the police immediately, and he better leave. Andy glared at us, then stepped back from the door. He quickly looked to the right, then turned and ran to his backyard. Kate and I rushed upstairs, and that's when her mom came into the house. She asked us why we were in the basement, and we both quickly told her what had happened with Andy. Kate's mom was surprised, but didn't think calling the police would help because Andy hadn't actually broken in or harmed us. Kate and I were both really scared and wanted her mom to call the police to report him, but she kept saying that the police probably couldn't do much. Luckily, I didn't run into Andy again during the few more times I visited Kate's house. Not too long after, Kate and her mom moved away. I don't know what Andy wanted or what he was planning that night, but I'm very thankful we didn't have to find out. This story happened when I was in elementary school. My mom, my brother, and I had moved to Canada a few years before this happened. We rented an apartment where most of our neighbors were also newcomers to the country. One day, as we were waiting for the elevator, a lady and her daughter, who had a disability, came and stood with us. They were talking in a language similar to ours, but it was a version spoken in Afghanistan, not Iran, where we originally came from. This got my mom's attention, and she was really happy to find out that this lady spoke the same language. They started talking, and it was clear that her daughter couldn't speak or use sign language because of her severe disabilities. My mom and I often met each other in our building and the neighborhood. There was a man whom she thought was bothering and following her daughter. He was a single dad, and his daughter was only a bit older than me. I looked after their dog a few times, so I knew them both well. His daughter told us that her parents had separated, and her dad got custody of her. One evening, my mom and I had just come home and were getting out of the elevator when we ran into the lady. She came up to us and said it was her daughter's birthday. She really wanted us to join them for some cake. I always felt strange around her, and I wasn't excited to join them, but my mom felt sorry for her, and she promised we wouldn't stay too long. So, we followed her into her apartment, but something just didn't feel right. Her daughter was sitting in the dark with only a small nightlight. In the middle of the living room, they had set up a kind of picnic with plates, forks, and homemade cake. But when we sat down and were just starting to feel comfortable, suddenly my mom's phone rang, and that surprised us. As my mom answered the phone, the lady hurried into the living room and asked my mom to put her phone on silent. Then she told us to be super quiet so that the guy wouldn't know we were here. I got a really weird feeling. Who was this guy she was talking about? My mom said sorry and asked her to explain. That's when she started telling us that the man who lived in the apartment below them was making their life miserable. She said he would bang the ceiling with a broom at all hours of the night to let them know he knew they were home. And she said one time, he convinced her daughter to go out on the balcony and tried to get her to jump. She said he would knock on their door in the middle of the night and say disturbing things through the door. My mom asked her why she hadn't told anyone about it, and the lady said she was afraid he would find out and harm them. She told us that's why they kept their place in the dark, didn't have a TV, and tried to make no noise, only whispering when they were home. We finished the cake, thanked her for inviting us, and got ready to leave. Then, she quietly went to her door, signaled us to hide from the view of the door, which we did. She slowly opened it, looked outside left and right, then turned to us and said it was safe to go. When we got back home, I told my mom that I didn't believe what she was saying because I knew the people who lived in that unit. My mom told me not to get involved and forget about it. Weeks passed, and we didn't see the lady and her daughter. But one morning, when I was leaving her building for school, I saw letters stuck to the walls in the lobby. They were all over the place, but I was just a kid and thought they were letters from the people who managed the building. But when I opened the lobby door, I noticed a letter taped to the building's intercom. The letter was written by the lady, and she explained how scared she was for herself and her daughter. She said that, despite many tries, no one had helped her with the situation. She talked about the same things she had told us before. The very last paragraph sent chills down my spine. She claimed that she was sexual assault and impregnated by a demon in her sleep. She then said if something happens to either of them, we should find ourselves responsible. I ended up asking the girl and her dad what that was all about, and her dad claimed to have only ever seen her twice. The 2 times he had seen her, he hadn't even looked at her because she was talking to herself, and he was very scared. He mentioned that she would slip notes under his door, and later he discovered they had Arabic writing on them. He showed one of his Arabic friends the notes, and his friend said they contained verses from the Quran that Muslims use to protect themselves from evil. He didn't know it was her until the letters started showing up all over the building on every floor. So they were told to leave their apartment, and she had threatened to harm herself and her daughter. The building management had to call the police because she was a danger to herself and others. After some time, we all kind of forgot about it and moved on with our lives. We moved to a different part of town not long after, but I always remembered that event. In 2020, I went back to the old place to meet a childhood friend who still lived there. I bumped into the building manager and we started talking. I asked him about the incident and if he ever found out what had really happened. It turns out the lady had a condition called schizophrenia, which made her see and hear things that weren't real. She was forced into marriage when she was very young, and her daughter's disabilities were because of the severe abuse she suffered while pregnant. She was very mentally ill and truly believed in the things she said. Her daughter was actually able to speak, but her mom did everything to keep her away from the outside world. Her mom and I initially thought the daughter was between 14 to 16 years old, but she was actually 30. She was very undernourished, didn't take care of herself, and it was clear she wasn't being properly looked after. Her daughter had never been to a hospital or school, which was really sad.